Can you hear it? Welcome to Relay.
So I keep telling you, Eris, if you take the body, you just got to cut it into smaller pieces, then feed it to pigs. You can't just put the whole thing over and hope for the best.
What do you do with the pigs after?
Turn them into bacon.
But then aren't you sort of eating the thing in the first place? Like, why not just eat it yourself?
Well, by that logic, does that mean that when you're drinking a glass of milk, you're eating grass?
Yes, obviously. I thought that was a given.
No, it's a cow, not a gibbon.
I wonder if you can milk a gibbon.
You have to take it to dinner first.
What if I don't want to take it to dinner?
Well, you need consent. Consent is sexy.
It's true, it
Can't
is.
just go
Okay.
around milking gibbons.
You know what? Do you want to know what else is sexy? I'm just going to switch over to this now, because this is the view in game for me right now. And look at that. Just look at it. It's so good. Losing my mind. Okay, sorry. Hello.
Wow. Nice shot, man.
Thank you. Welcome to... Am I too loud? I should check.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
That was aggressive.
You've been waiting years to say
Yeah.
that one.
Well, maybe that's because of your new nickname for her.
What, that I'm loud? Oh,
Sure.
her new nick. Yeah. Let's pretend that. Hello. Welcome to whatever this is that we do however often we do it. We are whomever we are. And
That is
hello. We're going to talk about Star Citizen. But first, a message from our sponsors. And we're back. Hi.
We have sponsors?
No, that was the...
You're very optimistic.
No, I've fully accepted that we don't want or deserve sponsors ever. So
I genuinely expected, and now a message from our sponsors. Get out!
that would have been good.
Stop bugging us.
We'll pay you if you just stop asking.
Get out of my house! How do you keep getting in?
Oh no. I love it.
All right. Welcome to the relay station. This is This Week in Star Citizen or something. I don't know. We don't call it anything anymore. We're just going to talk about what happened this week in Star Citizen, which, let's be honest.
It's relay station.
I know, but... look, you carry this on.
You
I'm
really
gonna get
need
a
windshield wipers.
I did I misspell it?
No, I was stretching and I probably fumbled when I was speaking.
Okay.
I see.
What I need is a beer, so I'm going to go get one. Carry on.
Oh, quick! Well, we can actually talk about Star Citizen without fear of being told our opinions are shit. Eric, what did you think of this week's Inside Star Citizen?
The words spectacular, or the word spectacular comes to mind. How about you, Shiver?
They've never made wrecked ships look so good.
Uh-huh. I'm excited.
And design, the Lando discussing the design language that, every wreck tells a story. It's brilliant. It puts in that extra thought of, we're not just placing things willy-nilly here. There is a logic to this.
Hey, Sargareth.
Hey, Sagareth.
And look, Shiver, it's not that everyone's opinions are bad. It's that everyone else's opinions on ships are bad, and only I am right on what ships look good. Everything else.
What did you think of
valid.
this week's Inside Star Citizen?
I thought it was fantastic. Really, really good. Really happy to see that this kind of it's, I don't know. So I've got questions about it, but we should probably like switch over and start looking at it because
Yep.
I love it,
What
but I got
do
questions.
you have?
I've got a couple of questions here. I'm gonna boot it up. Let's just look at these derelicts. I mean, you're right, Shiver. Like these look so good, and they do look like they're going to be able to tell a story, especially the new one that they're putting in on Daymar.
Yep. Which is the one we're seeing here.
That it's one that it's two ships that crashed seemingly somewhat together. The whole like that front of the ship being held up by like string things, phenomenal. I don't know. I'm not 100% sure, but I think is that little base built up around this? I think it is. Like I think they've built a base around these wrecks, which I think is so cool. There's so much opportunity.
Yeah, they talked about it. They're salvaging the two wrecks.
Well, and there's so much opportunity for different gameplay in here, right? Like we can have the standard, this person is here, go kill them, like we already have in Ghost Hollow.
Darge.
Hey Darge, how's it going?
Hey Darge.
But they can also do more too, right? Like the ships are crashed, there's data that's been found on it, you have to get in there and erase the data. I don't know, I love it. I love that these are being built up. I love how good they look. Just so good. But I do have questions. And I think I know the answer to those questions. I think I know the answer to them. But I still have to
But
ask
are they
them.
questions if you already know the answer?
Yeah.
Yes. You can ask a question even if you already know the answer to it. Yes.
Most of the questions I ask on this ship show.
Yeah, this is definitely a ship.
Most of the questions I ask on this are rhetorical anyway, and I just want someone else to answer them.
I see.
Or at least that's what I tell everyone when I ask a dumb question to make it sound like I was asking it on purpose. Anyway.
Sure.
So right now they are handcrafting these locations and these missions. And it sounds like there's a fair amount of work that goes into it, right? There's a full team over at Turbulent that's working on, like there's a team there doing this derelict. I'm wondering at what point they'll have enough that they don't need to like do each one individually, but be able to. You don't think they'll ever
what
be?
Do you mean? What do you mean? So, do you mean that at what point will they ever be able to stop making new types of derelicts? Never.
Or do you mean procedurally generate these wrecks?
So I mean procedurally generate and place the wrecks, because the Ghost Hollow is in one spot and one. What?
Sorry, just go ahead. Go ahead. My bad.
Ghost Hollow is in one spot and one spot only. This Daymar crash site is going to be in one spot and one spot only, and it's always the same configuration, right? Ghost Hollow is Ghost Hollow. But
I don't actually agree with that.
That's the way it is right now, though.
Yeah, that's how it is right now. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they can take that crashed reclaimer and put it in other biomes on other planets, with different stuff surrounding it, without having to redo the whole thing.
Yeah. So at what point do they start doing that? Is the question. Like, at what point do we get away from like individual wrecks placed to, like, like either probability volume or like a reclaimer went down here. Let's place this wreck in the location that the reclaimer went down. Right? The reclaimer crashed, it exploded, but in the world like knowledge, the not quanta, but the top layer of those layer things knows that a reclaimer went down there, so it puts a reclaimer wreck in that location.
I think that would actually be really interesting. I don't know if they have that. Not sure if they have that. No, they should have that level of specificity. I think it'd be really interesting if in the simulation, something dies somewhere. That's where it will like, procedurally generate a derelict, like using the library of derelicts.
So I believe
I think that would be really cool.
Would they even need to procedurally generate it because of the way that they've made ships and the way that they've made the core text so far, that if let's take Eris's example of the reclaimer comes down, it's already going to been damaged enough that it is dropping out of space, it crashes, that's going to cause more damage. The system itself is aware of the damage that is caused, and then it can just be like probably go into a flowchart area of how long do I keep this wreck here for? Do I have any bandits, NPCs, anything like that in their vicinity that may either salvage it or turn it into a base? If no one is aware of this wreck in any way, shape, or form, then it despawns after X amount of time, maybe.
So that's essentially what I'm wondering. Like, when a reclaimer first crashes, will it be just a broken reclaimer there, and then no one finds it for 20 days? The system changes it over from broken reclaimer to like an instance like Ghost Hollow that's more lived in. Like, at what point are they going to shift things, and how will they? I don't know. I'm these. I don't think these are questions.
At what point is not a? I guess a when question that's impossible for us to even guess. About when they will do it. But you know.
Well, no, it's not when are they going. It's not when are they going to do it. It's like how are they going? Like, is Ghost Hollow always going to be Ghost Hollow, and a crashed reclaimer is always just a crashed reclaimer that can be salvaged? Or like, how are they going? I know that they've talked about building wrecks up more like Ghost Hollow, like this Daymar one.
They've made it very clear that this is a living universe. It shouldn't be at this point. There is always a reclaimer wreck. You have to just wait for it to respawn. But at the same time, they also want game mechanics to overrule at certain points. Otherwise, there's only going to be a set amount of asteroids that you're going to be able to mine. They're going to have to respawn certain things. So, I would imagine at this point they're not even really thinking very much in we have to have this or we have to have it like this. It's probably going to be a case of let's see how it goes first of all, because we can implement this to be a static location that respawns after so much, or considering the amount that everyone goes killing because they just love killing, we don't need to have this done. It is done, and you will have people who are salvagers who are just sat there watching the star map, be aware that in the past 24 hours there was a huge battle there. Let's go like the vultures we are, which is great, and strip that bitch.
Hey Architect, hey Miami, and
thank you everybody for coming to hang out with us.
Yeah, I want to say that, like, yes, we're getting salvage in the next patch, right?
Yes.
So can I go salvage the reclaimer at Ghost Hollow?
No, probably not, because it probably doesn't support that yet.
Right. So, like, and these are the, like, are they making these individual missions and these individual wreck sites for now, and are they going to have to pull them out in the future to implement ones that can be fully salvaged once they're there. Like, I'm just wondering.
Not necessarily. There's an easy way in lore to just be like, this ship is too like degraded to really have anything of value to salvage out of it. You know, and just good. Do you know what I mean? I don't know if they necessarily
guess.
need to pull the asset out of the game.
No, but they need to have both that. Like, there needs to be some sort of mix of them, right? Because you still have to be able to go and salvage stuff. But we also don't want every wreck to be this impersonal wreck that's just there to be salvaged.
A couple of workarounds come to mind. Well-known scavenge locations that have massive ships. You know, they just need a history of, why is this Bengal carrier always here? Well, because it's going to take fucking years to salvage it, and you can always go there and salvage it. A literal graveyard planet for ships and equipment where you can just go scavenge, and then you have Weird Al playing as you're being chased down by these weird transforming robots that, you know, it's not knocking them down that's the problem, it's getting them to stay down. I'm sorry.
I really want to see the new Weird Al movie, by the way.
Yep.
Complete aside, it looks hilarious. I really want to see it.
I just love the idea, and I love Weird Al. So.
Yeah. And
so
Daniel
to be
Radcliffe is
stupid.
fantastic.
So I think I understand what you're saying. So I don't think you're going to be able to in the near future be able to go to a place like Ghost Hollow and destroy that site and remove the reclaimer from it as salvage. Because of the way it is currently built as like a hero location, let's call it. I don't know if it'll ever be able to be salvaged, or if they're going to just say that, you know, for whatever reason you can't salvage it, maybe it's too degraded, whatever. I do think that most wrecks you come across, most derelicts you come across, will be able to be salvaged, because I think a lot of those are going to be either procedurally generated wrecks, I shouldn't even call it procedurally generated. It'd be generated by the probability volumes that say, hey, there's a huge battle here between NPC ships. There's a whole bunch of dead ships all over the place. Come and eat them, please, garbage woman.
Nom nom.
And then I think the other thing I was gonna say is, I think there's gonna be two systems at play here that interact with each other. I think that they're going to long term populate the universe with derelicts by probability volumes and biomes. Because the way that they've built the biomes is that the biomes are procedurally generated, but they can add like factors into them that say, like, there's a 5% chance that this biome every, I don't know, 20 kilometers has a derelict, you know? So you can, and same with outposts. Like, outposts are currently manually placed, but they won't always be. They're going to be programmed into the biomes. And I think derelicts are going to be the same. The real big challenge for the engineers is down to, can you make it believable to a point where you can go to one that was procedurally generated and it looks as good or close to as good as Ghost Hollow, for example.
I mean, wouldn't they still do? I might be out of date with this information, but wouldn't they still do the same process where they procedurally generate a planet and then they have artists go in and then clean it up a bit because that's a bit weird. Let me just move that around, kind of thing.
They will, but they want them to do as little work as they like. They want to make it as easy for them as they can. If they can make a planet such that, you know, a person can go in there and spend 8 or 10 hours tweaking things and then they're done, that would be like amazing.
Star Citizen has to find
Absolutely.
They have to find a middle ground between No Man's Sky and like Assassin's Creed, because Assassin's Creed, huge, tons of content, but it's still finite. It's still something you can cross the entirety of in, you know, a long time, but a reasonable amount of time, and it's filled with stuff. No Man's Sky is essentially infinite, but I mean it's fully procedurally generated, and we've all seen these sort of drawbacks to that, right? So
Oh yeah, for sure.
but CIG are going to have a problem with the amount of content that they can put. They can't, like,
Yeah.
it's taking them months to do single derelict sites for single ships. They cannot possibly staff up enough to do single derelict sites for all 150 different types of ships, and you need multiple ones of each. They can't do it, so they have to find ways to do things procedurally, right? It has to be done.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
that it has to be done through, and it needs to be, in my opinion at least, a mix of these like these hero locations and like just a crashed ship, or a crashed ship that does have a little build up that you can procedurally do the build up based on the amount of time the ship is better than that. Like, there's a lot of work that they have to do. It's all possible. I do want to say, Magpie, like, yes, even at these hero locations, they can and should add things that are salvageable. Like, you should be able to go in and find parts in that reclaimer once
I think parts are the perfect solution to that problem. I don't think
Yeah.
you're going to be able to go in and hull strip an ancient reclaimer like that, because they'll just say the hull is way too degraded to be useful.
Yeah.
But maybe there's, like, I don't know, a shield generator in there that's still useful, and it's some really cool old one that's been there forever, and it's like a rare part, and it's worth a gajillion dollars.
Part of the
UAC.
whole being stranded gameplay that's not in yet could also be a factor in there of, my ship is not a complete wreck. I need some parts. Let me look around for hopefully
would be
some wrecks where I can
amazing.
strip shit out. Yeah.
I crashed.
I would love to go and find a new power generator for my ship in some
Right?
some crash
Yeah.
ship.
You scanned a wreck on your way in, and then you crashed, but you know where the wreck is. It's 10 minutes that way. Walk to it, see what you find, and you might find nothing. You might find
exactly.
but that would be fantastic. And the other thing that I find really interesting, and why I hope that they put a lot of thought into this, is that with persistent, the
Persistent
what we're
entity
getting
streaming.
Yeah, we're
Persistent
getting
entity streaming.
persistent entity streaming means that, like, an object place stays there forever, essentially.
Yeah.
So a crashed ship stays there forever. And I talked about this months ago when we were talking about persistent enemy stream, but I think that's so interesting. Of, like, day one of 1.0 of Star Citizen, some person could crash their ship, and 7 years could go by, and someone would find
they will have to put a time limit on it, because otherwise the universe will get too cluttered. Even if it's just written in ones and zeros, eventually it will just get too cluttered and have to just wipe certain things away after a certain amount of time.
I think that I think you're both right. I actually think that both things are true. There will become areas that are too cluttered, and they have to find a way to have a cleanup process, basically. My like ideal scenario for this, and this is something Tony Zervak talked about a long time ago, it's something Chris has mentioned, is for there to be like janitors, for example, in cities who go around and actually clean shit up. Like AI janitors, and they just wander around and fix things and clean things.
It's not
that'd be really cool.
It's not a hard job. You pick it up as you go along.
That's right.
But that's one thing for cities. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Sorry.
What I wanted to say was that if there is some backworld planet, or what I mean, the back of the universe, some planet way out there, that anyone hardly ever goes to, and you crash your ship there, there's no clutter, there's no nothing, hardly anybody goes there. Your ship will very likely persist there indefinitely.
Well, and they only
the only limitation they've talked about is how cluttered things are. But if your ship is like in the middle of fucking nowhere on this other planet, there's a good chance it'll never be cleaned up until someone finds it.
And the only things they really have to keep track of is the location of the crash, how long it's been since the crash and the type of ship that crashed. And
Exactly.
they don't
Yeah,
like
there's very little
nothing
data
has
they need.
right, and then it can be like it can almost not exist most of the time and only exist when someone comes into the sphere
It'll just
of
be streamed in
right.
when they like there's a little piece of data that says this ship crashed here at this time. You could even include like what systems were damaged if they wanted to. It's still only a couple of like ones and zeros. It's not a big deal.
Yeah.
And
So I think that is the way to go long term.
yeah, and I think okay, sure. Well, and we were talking about biomes and how the different biome will be able to affect the different ships and change things, but also the overlays. Like they talked about the overlay work this week of completely changing the look of an area with a different overlay. So we're looking at a homestead with um a pirate overlay, essentially, right? A bad guy overlay, and they've changed all the rooms in it. You could in theory do the same sort of thing for ships that have crashed for a while, right? Biome and overlay, and if you mix biomes and overlays, you'd be able to get completely unique places anywhere in the verse. I don't know. What do you think about that, Shiver?
Yeah, I agree. There's a lot of work that needs to be done to it, but it's not a monumentous task. And as Darjanator also pointed out, if these things are becoming too clustered in a certain area, then the way to do it is AI salvages. That's part of the reason for Quanta. It's not just generating content; it's also cleaning up content that's like, this has been here for too long. We need to clear it out of the whatever for increase some memory capacity because oh shit, they've discovered gold in Nemnar Hills. Let's prep.
And they probably wouldn't even have to do that, to be honest, because the way Quanta works is at any point, if let's say there become too many ships in an area, then based on Quanta, the value of salvaging in that area increases, which means more salvages will come. Even if they're all Quanta, they'll on a time-based thing, they will delete these ships and the value of salvage will go down. The ships will disappear because they've been salvaged, and then the salvagers will leave, right? Like Quanta should be able to handle all of that built in, this
is the the systems based gameplay that we're all hoping we get to.
Yeah,
exactly.
Where everything just takes care of itself. But
what we're hoping for and what the devs are hoping for, I think, as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
What are you showing now?
It would. You're right, Dodge. It would just be the game playing itself.
Yeah.
But to to a pretty large extent, that is part of Quanta's purpose.
Yep. The whole deal is that you
exist spread
the whole idea is that you exist within a universe that is happening, with or without you being there.
And with Quanta as well, it's not going to be if no one goes there, it's just happening. It's mathematical calculations, blah blah blah. But with the way that Quanta works, if a person does go there, they can literally see this going down and happening.
Exactly. Yeah. Also, this segment is amazing. Blew my damn mind.
The overlay is really cool.
This is an overlay on top of an existing homestead that basically some bad people took over this homestead, and holy man. And this is the type of stuff they can do. This is the same homestead that they can use for like any other homestead, but now it looks completely different.
You recycle pieces where you can, and the trick is to not overdo the recycling. See Dragon Age Origins 2.
Yeah.
Well, it's just Dragon Age 2, isn't it? Sorry. When you reuse the same assets far too much.
Which is hilarious because the game is really short.
Yeah. Good story, though. But
it is too short.
It's a slug to get through that compared with Origin. It was great. And again, Origins, that's a good example of recycling, and you're like, okay, this is different. But if you look, you can see, oh well, that's actually used in that, and that's used in that. You don't need 50 different stone walls. You just need a couple, and then you can just place them in such a way that the human brain recognizes it as a different pattern. But
Yeah. Well, exactly.
Yeah.
That's what they're talking about. Like with like things like paint
Inquisition
and
was good.
paint and lights, and like set dressing.
Yeah.
And a little bit of paint, lights, props, set dressing, and something will look completely different. And you can reuse this asset that took you maybe dozens or even hundreds of hours to make. You don't have to make it again.
Yeah, Star Trek First Contact, loads of different Borg drones. There are only 9 different actors.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So
this is probably the most important part of this entire episode, I think. Because they were talking about player-owned facilities generating resources for you. They only mentioned it in sort of on the side, but wow, that's going to be a whole other level to Star Citizen. We always sort of knew it was coming, or at least thought it was coming, hoped it was coming. But the idea of being able to build facilities like this on your claims to be able to generate products or money for you, amazing.
Well, this is also great because like this in theory would eventually be like a player owned repair and refuel spot where they'd probably have some AI that can do it, or they can do it while they're on if they choose to. But just that the idea that these could be placed all over the verse, and you don't have to go to a space station to repair, you can just find a little spot like this. I mean,
I love it. It's amazing. Like, who do you care who you're paying? If you're paying a player, like if you just need to go somewhere and you need your ship repaired and refueled, you don't care if it's a player that you're paying or an AI. But for the player on the other end, that's huge because they get a few thousand UEC from somebody coming and refueling or repairing at their little way station in the middle of nowhere.
I wonder how
know that this
involved they'll make that gameplay. Because sorry, Harris.
no.
Will it just be a simple case of I've discovered I can build a refinery here and set it up, and then I just got to tick it over, do a little bit of maintenance? Or will there be a lot more environmental things based into it? Like, will the planet's weather affect this refinery in some way that I have to, I start with a tier 1 refiner, but I can put certain parts that are specialized to withstand this kind of weather? If there's acid, particularly corrosive acid rain, will I be able to put specific parts on there that are more durable, for instance? Things like that. Or will it just be whatever, once a week, go visit it, press F, done?
Well, so in theory, yes, that would exist. I'm not sure about like refining and stuff, but they've already talked about for farming. There has to be a benefit for farming on the Endeavor, right? And the benefit of farming on the Endeavor is being able to fully control light and temperature and like soil composition, which is kind of dumb because you could just do it in a greenhouse, but whatever, on a planet, but whatever. But the different planet composition is going to affect the crops that you're growing. So we know that they're adding that into certain things, and I keep thinking about it. It keeps bringing me back to Star Wars Galaxies, where players could get together and build their own enclaves and like build up solar power and build up and like mine resources and farm stuff. It's Star Wars Galaxies, but
the next generation.
Yeah, and hopefully it won't get destroyed when they allow everyone to be a Jedi.
Yeah. Well,
thanks, Sony.
You can't be a Jedi in Star Citizen, so we're good.
Yet.
So here's my thoughts. Will you be able to upgrade? So there are a couple things. Almost certainly be able to upgrade your structures. Just makes sense. almost certainly you will need to manage there. I think there's going to be some kind of like overlay where you need to manage the what is the best way to put this? The resources and connectivity of everything in your base. Like you will need power generation and air and whatever for various things.
Yep.
Because they've already talked about it and we've seen a whole bunch of concepts for it, and also we know that you will need to defend your territory because they're talking about player built turrets, and you can of course see the turrets that are in the game right now that shoot you out of the sky all the time.
This refinery here that they're showing, it's not in protected space. There's nothing.
No.
It's pretty meaty target for pirates.
Now, your question, Shiver, about weather. I mean, they've talked at length about wear and tear on things, so I'm almost certain they would extend that to buildings. You would need to maintain your stuff, and I think on a more severe planet, because they're doing all the weather simulation anyway. It's it's just more gameplay that just falls out of the simulation they're already doing.
It just falls out of the sky.
Oh,
This is the whole. Wow. This is the huge benefit of systems based gameplay. There are certain things where you just build a couple systems and then you're like, oh, I can use this system without changing it much to do this to that, and it makes a whole bunch more gameplay.
Darsh, you're laughing.
Like the
you're
bombs.
Yeah.
The initial rollout of the bombs was just, we'll have missiles with no propulsion, and it kind of worked.
Yeah. But Darsh, you're laughing, but why wouldn't they do that? Like, why wouldn't? I mean, they've already shown the ability to have a little weapon that does that for salvage. Just changes the paint state on it. Why not? Why not have a pressure washer to be able to go
going into that much detail?
They should totally destroy Pressure Washer Simulator by recreating it.
They need to answer the important question, the most important question of Star Citizen, if they're going into that much detail. Which way will the water spin in the toilet when you flush it?
In space?
Really
Oh. No, but think about it. We know that ships are going to get dirty and grimy over time. We know that there's going to be ways to clean them up. Why not let players do it too? I could see paying someone, 15, 20,000 UEC to clean every inch of my reclaimer.
Well, that we know is going to happen.
I know.
Like,
so
whether or not it's actually like a player cleaning or not, I mean, there's going to be a cleaning thing, so
why not make it so the players could do it? Anyway, I want to move us on because, I mean, we got a lot to talk about this week. I don't know if we're going to play any Star Citizen.
We have a lot to talk about, and this week was particularly full of interesting tidbits.
Great.
But there's these little glimpses we're getting into the future for Star Citizen, and it's very cool. Anyway.
So I want to move us on
if anyone goes to Citizencon, do ask them the question about which way the water's going to go down a plug hole.
Yeah.
It's important.
Next year we'll have to have...
Tony Zero Effect will talk about 20 minutes for just on that.
Citizencon, the date was announced. It is... Oh god, I've forgotten already. October 8th. So...
I remember I looked at it because I probably am going to miss it again this year.
Oh, yeah. Cass. Citizencon is October 8th. I'm booked. Sorry. Love you.
Wow.
October's basically Hell Month over here. Link and Mac's birthdays are both in October, and Citizencon, and yeah. It's going to be busy. With the announcement of Citizencon, they also gave us the names and some details on a bunch of the panels. So I wanted to go through some of these panels, starting with.
I mean, there are planets in the panels.
So. They are. They are all titled "Journey to 4.0" something. So clearly they're talking about the journey to 4.0 here.
Also gives you an idea of how near term focused they are right now because of the huge pieces of tech that are coming in.
Yeah.
Because 4.0 is not like ridiculously far away, but they're they do have a few huge pieces of tech coming in. So
Also to note, these are the panel names. I'm assuming that Chris Roberts will open and close Citizencon like he has every other Citizencon, because that's my assumption.
Well,
but these are the panel names.
They'd have to do it on a pre-recorded video or something, though, because it isn't Sitcon in America this time, and he's in the UK.
Yeah, I think there's still going. Oh, there might be no keynote.
Dodge says there's no keynote. Yeah.
There's no keynote. There's no keynote on the thing. No.
I also can't imagine that he won't say anything. So anyway, Planetary Pyro, a guided in-engine tour of the planets and moons of the upcoming Pyro system, exploring their current development status, why they're more than just burnt, charred husks you may have read about. I feel like we've seen Pyro a couple of times. It's going to be nice to see it again, but I just want to get into Pyro. Stop showing it to me. Let me play it.
Yeah, in fairness, it's a carrot that's been dangled in front of us for a long time.
2 years?
I think more than that, isn't it?
Well, I think it was 2 years.
Teasing Pyro a long time ago.
Oh wow!
But it was 2 years ago. We got the jump. We ended with the jump into Pyro, right?
Shit, that was 2 years.
That was 2 years. 2 years ago, we ended with the jump into Pyro. Last year, we got a fly through of some of Pyro, I believe, and like the stations and stuff. Anyway, I get it. Pyro is 4.0. I just want to see Pyro.
Yeah, no, this will be quite different from anything we saw before. Before they were just like, Pyro is the thing, and there's a little bit of it. Here you go. I think this panel will be a guided tour through the whole system.
So one of the things that we might actually see in this panel is Stanton has been sort of like, Stanton was the test bed, right? And Stanton is largely lifeless. Let's be honest. It's lifeless. There's nothing on the planets, right? There's no life to the planets. There's no anything.
There's a lot of life, David, but not as we know it.
I don't know what you mean. All the planets are covered with life, except for not animals, because they're just not in the game yet. But they will be.
But no, they're not really covered with life. There's like a station here and a data center here and a data center here and a data center here, but there's nothing else in them yet, right? Like they're starting to add in the derelict outposts. They're starting to add in derelict spaceships, but it's still very early. But they're adding them in piecemeal, one by one in Stanton. It will be interesting to see if they've taken a different route in Pyro, because they have a blank slate for Pyro. They know all of the things that they need to have, whereas Stanton has been built up incrementally, right? Are we going to get the same blank slate Pyro that they're going to build up incrementally, or are we going to get a fully fleshed Pyro day one?
I don't think it's going to be fully fleshed. I would hope that it's not a complete blank slate either. I would hope content-wise it's comparable to what we have now.
Moderately engorged, then.
That's what I'm expecting. I'm expecting that Pyro will be similar to the content level of Stanton.
Okay, well then we get design. Yeah. We don't know anything more than anyone else. We're just reading the words and then presuming.
Talking about it.
I agree, Miami. I also think they thought ahead. I think Pyro's further along than we imagine, but who knows?
If it comes out and the content level is comparable to Stanton, that is a hell of a good sign, because that means that when Pyro gets more built up, the next system, or perhaps the next 2 or more systems, just a guess and assumption, will have the previous, pyro content level as their baseline and say, so we're doing X many systems, hopefully, with that much content, and then building up from that, and that trickles down again, and it just keeps snowballing. Hopefully, maybe.
It is worth noting as well, Pyro is much larger than Stanton.
Yeah. I will be right back. I leave you two to start the design brief investigations.
Explore the pitch process for a new mission archetype that leaves combat and delivery behind for mindful deduction and increased storytelling. I'm all in on this type of mission. This is where you get to start learning a lot more of the lore, and they tend to be very interesting. I really like the Kovalex one they did very early. That one's been in forever, and I think that is what they're playing off of was that type of mission, and investigations are always fun in video games. So
Agreed.
I'm looking forward to that one.
And then they're not going to do a half-assed job on it. It's going to be a really interesting thing, and I wonder how they're going to handle it how much control of the investigation you'll have if it's literally on the rails of you need to find A, B, C, D, or you find point A and you go way off base, and how they will deal with that, or if it's like there are multiple different ways to get to point C, D, E, F, and you could just go, well, I've deduced from this clue and the previous clues, I can go straight to this bit, or what?
Yeah, that's one of the things I'm very interested in finding out in this panel is like, are these branching missions? Are they like what's the depth there, and how many of them do they have in like process? I know it's a mission archetype, so do they just have one built, or are there like 10, or I would love to know.
I have a couple thoughts on this. One, I don't really like the investigation missions that are in right now. The find some dead corpses. I find it breaks all the time. It's not terribly entertaining. I'd really like to see this type of.
I kind of disagree. I think the only reason you really don't like them is they don't work.
Well, yeah,
because a lot of times it's going and finding some like crash ship, and then you get to loot a bunch of stuff, and you get to find the dead people.
But the corpses don't work. But
yeah,
but it would be. I mean, I'd like to see. I'm curious, honestly, of how they can make the. Well, like combat is different each time you do it, right? It's a little bit different. Enemies are in different spots. They move to different spots. Their awareness is different. Like it's different each time. I'm worried about investigations of once you do it once, you've done it. When you go to do it again, well, I know that the answer's here, right? So I want to know if, and I'm not saying they will, but it's if they're going to build in some sort of randomness to it, so that
I think Dart just got it nailed.
Yes, multi-steps. I'd honestly even like to see, like, if we can tie an investigation in with a combat mission, right? You have to you go to a crashed ship.
Oh yeah,
The crashed ship gives you the location of a data center and the name of someone that has something. You go to the data center, you go through the data center, kill everyone on it, find the thing that leads you to somewhere else, like a layering of it.
Yep.
But
I wonder. Sorry, go on.
Well, a couple games have done this more recently in that, like, when there's like a safe code in a game, you can just Google it and you can find the safe code. Well, some games have started randomizing those safe codes. So you can't just Google it, right? But I want to see if CIG will take it even a step more of, like, your investigation has 4 different parts to it, but there's a total of 16 different parts that could be part of it, and those 4 parts will look, they're going to randomly be chosen from all of these different types. Like, I don't know if that's making any sense at all, but
I wonder, because we're getting salvaging this, if they'll tie it in with salvage in the first iteration, because that's another easy route, very similar of why are all these wrecks suddenly appearing? And as you are salvaging it, you come across this clue, or as I like to say, clue, and you follow that on, and it leads you on to other things. You're salvaging at the same time. You come to this investigation, and you could just fob off the investigation to someone else, take your junk metal, and say,
yeah,
give me my money.
I like that. And I like Lucas Lightbane's got a point of how did the old Clue board game work? Like, it's not the most in-depth board game, but it changes every time you play it, very basically, but it makes it still be an interesting game when you play it. Like, it's not always the same result, and that's what I hope they get from that. Anyway, where am I? Here.
The new underground.
The new underground. When corporations, commerce, and caverns collide, take your first look at the enormous reimagining of underground facilities and the new gameplay possibilities that will arrive with them.
Amazing. You know what? I got my first brainwave about this was I was in one of the bunkers, like one of the bunker missions where you go down inside. I realized I was like looking down the elevator shaft, and you can see there are other floors below you that you never go to.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wait a second, they have plans.
Darsh,
These are gonna get bigger.
I love that, Darsh, honestly. But yeah, Eric, you're right. Like, one, but this is beyond that too, right? It's, we know that the data centers are going to go further down, and that's going to be great. I can't wait for there to be multiple levels, because honestly, those data centers are my favorite thing to do in Star Citizen right now. And I'd love there to be more without having to leave and do another one. I'd also like there to be a better way to take loot out of it. But anyway, but this is talking about a couple things. Caverns right now sort of suck. This is talking about corporations and commerce in caverns. So and caverns, right? Like, I feel like there's a lot more to this that we aren't even thinking of, and CIG are going to surprise us a fair bit with this. One, we're going to get underground cities. We're going to get more to the data centers.
There's at least one underground, I think, city. I'm trying to remember. I think there's an underground city in lore.
Probably.
I don't know about this. All sounds kind of boring.
Oh God.
You know the drill.
I know mine.
But I do agree with you, David. I actually really like the caverns. I think their scale is amazing. But the problem is that currently there's no way to navigate them and like to know where you're going. And it's really like we don't have the tools.
We've made it clear though that we've really got a bone to pick with them on that.
Oh God. So we don't have the tools yet to be able to get ourselves out of situations where we get stuck. Like, it's really easy to go into a cavern and get stuck. Like, there's a lot of physics problems, and you can just like get stuck between rocks and things like that. So if they can clean that up,
didn't reach the floor for you.
that was
something as simple as that.
Yeah.
Yep. We've died in caves several times now for various reasons. So ways to navigate them and for them to be cleaned up so that you don't get stuck in geometry would be huge improvements. Basically, those two things would turn them from these are beautiful things that I never want to go into because I'm going to die to I want to go do that cave mission right now because it's cool. If you could navigate them easily and you wouldn't get stuck, they would be amazing, and I would
But
want to
look
go
at
in
the
all
size. Look at the size of those caves too,
They're
right?
gigantic.
They are enormous. And if there's something of value in those caves to be mined, well, why wouldn't a corporation set up a little mining outpost inside one of the caves that you go into and they're like, go mine this stuff. Here's stuff to look, they've got the prison gameplay, right? The prison gameplay is go down this corridor, mine some stuff, and you get paid for it in time. But why not have corporations that do the exact same thing in the caverns? They pay you to go mine stuff. Sold. Done. Easy gameplay.
It'd be a really cool mission. Is if you're like sent to investigate some weird thing happening in a cavern, maybe there's a weird noise coming from it or something. And you go down inside there, maybe it's some huge cavern, you get way down inside there, you can't find what the problem is. And you come to the end of this tunnel and there's like a door. And it leads you to an underground facility. That would be so cool.
I don't think it could be done, but I would like the freedom to be able to dig out your own cave and make your own back cave kind of thing. It's not going to happen, but they could also do pre-scripted things where let's say you have got a crime stat that you've got to work off. Well, all right, get in that cave, dig it out, and eventually we're going to turn that into a prison. So the prisoners are making their own prison.
That would be hilarious. All right.
Okay,
The
next.
need for multiple speeds.
This one excites me. So we all know how speed impacts combat, but now learn how master modes initially developed for Squadron 42 will impact the flight experience for the persistent universe and better define ship roles for all vehicles in Star Citizen. How was my announcer voice there?
Pretty amazing.
Thank you.
You've always had a good announcer voice.
I'd like to be an announcer. I could announce things. I could enunciate.
We've heard your announcer voice before. It was your I'm a news person voice.
I am news. Hear me news. Hear me news now.
Further refinement to flight in Star Citizen is always welcome. Not because it's bad, because actually I'm going to give them a huge amount of credit. I've been noticing lately flying in Star Citizen is becoming pretty, I wouldn't say easy, but effortless for me. I don't have to think about it much. And it's a good time. It's fun. There are still some ships that need tweaking, of course, but for most ships, flying is easy and fun.
The thing that interests me most about this is the last part of it, which is the better definement of ship roles for vehicles. And right now, ships are sort of defined by their range, like the Arrow sucks because it's got no range, and their weapons. And I'm interested, their maneuverability a little bit, but like I'm interested to see how they can use speed to help further define that. And honestly, I'm hoping for an almost complete overwork of how flight systems work. I really don't like quantum. And I don't know if they're going to talk at all in this about breaking quantum from you can only quantum to specific points. Like, I really want to be able to quantum in a straight line.
Yeah,
but
they've been talking for a while about bringing back like the blind quantum.
But also
it needs to be back.
The thing that I hate most in the game, and it's not I always spawn at New Babbage because it's not too bad there, but what is it? What's the floating Orison? I will not land at or spawn at Orison because it's a 40-minute trip from that platform to atmosphere at stupid slow speeds. Just let me quantum out of Orison atmosphere. Just let me get out of there. I hate it. And I don't know if this is going to cover that, but I hope it does because I hate it.
We'll see. We'll see.
Okay, Lorville Redux. We've come a long way since our first planetary landing zone, and here you'll get a first glimpse at how everything learned since then is being reapplied to this walled, polluted city.
Yep, it's time. Lorville is a really cool city, but it needs some TLC. It's old.
Question there. Sure.
Hello.
Hello.
How do you
much
do?
of I do speak good English. I learn it from a book.
A book?
I don't know about them pretty words, but I like your pretty mouth.
I speak good English. I learn it from a book. Faulty Towers. It's one of the.
Flowery twats.
I've only memorized 2 quotes from Faulty Towers. One is I speak good English. I learn it from a book. And the other is what's it? Tumple Mas, they invaded Poland.
The other one.
I know speak the English. I am from Barcelona.
Anyway, sorry.
Very much a show you could not do today.
Oh no. Phenomenal though. Just hilarious. Okay. How much of Stanton is going to have to be redone?
Stanton? I don't know what you mean. They've redone most of it several times.
I know, but they're like, it sounds like they're redoing Lorville, right? Like, how much of that system, the whole system of planets and moons and everything, how much of that's going to have to be redone? Like, they're going to redo Lorville.
No, but
what
you
else?
need to be specific. All of it. They'll probably redo all of Pyro too. They'll probably redo all of every system at one point in time. The game's going to run for 20 years.
We hope. We hope.
Are they going to redo all of Stanton at the same time they do Lorville? No. Microtech's fine. You don't need to touch it. ArcCorp needs help. Orison's new. So I would say ArcCorp and Lorville are and Hurston are the two that are gonna probably even not even the whole planets, just the landing zones.
The landing zones
are probably
yeah.
gonna get they're probably just gonna get a once over and bring them up to modern standards. But 2 of the 4 planets don't need to be touched.
Each time they do a new landing zone, they learn something new that they can do. There's plenty to be optimized as well. It's just a matter of when they can get round to doing it, which becomes a priority. And at the moment, obviously, I mean, Lorville's been being worked on for this much time. Pyro has been the priority. When they've done Pyro, or a certain amount of work in Pyro, they'll take lessons learned there and go back to Stanton and say, well, we can apply this here, we can apply this here. Do you remember that cool thing that we did in Pyro? What if we twisted and messed around with that a bit and we could do something really cool there?
I mean, at some point they're going to be done work on Squadron 42. Do you think lots of those Squadron 42 teams will then move over and start redoing things in Star Citizen?
No, they're going to work on episode 2.
It depends on what I think it depends on where they're at with Star Citizen when they finish their work on Squadron. There will be a decision made at some point about whether they just continue on immediately to doing episode 2, or whether they spend 6 or 8 months helping with Star Citizen before they start the second single player game. It depends. If Star Citizen is getting pretty close to a point where they think they might be able to release it, or cross some big milestone, then they might take those teams and put them on Star Citizen for a while. But I think I agree with Shiver. The optimal path for them is they don't need to do that. And which is they've talked a lot about how they're hiring like another few hundred people in the next couple of years. I think that what they're going to do is keep the single player team on single player indefinitely, because they've already talked about how they're going to make Squadron. Then they're making Behind Enemy Lines, I think the second one is called. And then there's a third Squadron piece. And then they were talking about making more single player games in Star Citizen after that. So
Yep.
I think that team will continue to do that for
I,
the
I-
next 10 or 20 years.
I think that we'll actually see some parts of that team stop working as much on that team and filter over to Star Citizen. But I think it's going to be very dependent on the team. Like, I think you'll start to see a lot of ship teams do more work on Star Citizen.
I could see that.
Once the ships are done for Squadron, and then once there's new ships that are required for behind enemy lines, maybe they'll be pulled back to it. But like, one of the things that I remember them talking about a decade ago, no, but like 5 or 6 years ago, that I really liked was the idea that a lot of times in video games, like when a game hits a certain milestone, large portions of teams are let go because, well, we don't need that team working on it anymore, right? We're done this portion. And one of the tenets of the way CIG is trying to work is that will never happen. There will always be work for all of the teams, so they don't have to let people go because, oh well, we finished the engine work, you're done, go away, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I like that.
Oh no, the way we already know that the way that Chris Roberts likes to have the newest graphics, the engine team is going to be ticking away on this thing forever.
Yeah.
I mean,
All right.
at the very least, Squadron episodes are going to act as adverts for the persistent universe. You know,
Yep.
people are going to see Squadron. They might play Squadron. They might think, I want more of this. Well, there's a persistent universe set in the exact same universe. Get on over here. And as for teams, they want it to be able to be, we can work on episode 2, we can work on episode 3, we can now do something completely different. And then if they ever need to do or want to do the Xi'an Squadron 42 game, then they might have to go and say, hey, ship teams, can we get some people over here, some bodies to help work with this, things like that. Once they get comfortable, where they're like, yeah, making Squadron games, no problem. Let's challenge ourselves and do something that's completely different, but still in the same universe. Then they might need to ask for help from other teams.
Now, I want this one to go a little bit more quickly, but I was thinking about this.
Sorry.
No, we were all talking about it, but really quickly, do you think there might actually be a benefit to them finishing Squadron 42 and then pushing to finish or like get through 4.0 on Star Citizen?
Well,
or is there more?
4.0 will be done before.
No. Yeah, like sorry, through 4.0 like to 5.0 to like
beta.
Is there a benefit to them working more on Squadron 42 Episode 2 or hitting beta in Star Citizen?
It depends entirely on where Star Citizen is at that point. Star Citizen might already be in beta by the time Squadron comes out. Odin might be the fifth system that they need, and then there you go. Because we know that. We don't know this, but we know it. We know Odin's done, right?
Yeah.
Like they've been working on Odin, that star system for years and years and years and years and years and years, and we've seen bits and pieces of it. It's very likely complete. They will need to do some tweaks for the persistent universe, but really you have another star system just waiting to be added. All the assets are there.
Yeah.
So now, yeah, I think it depends. I really think that that Chris Roberts would prefer to just hire more people for the persistent universe teams than to take the single player people and move them to doing the MMO. But of course, people will bounce back and forth between those teams all the time anyway.
But
it also depends on what work needs to be done.
Actually, retasking whole teams, I don't think they'll do that. unless it's like this critical moment where they're like, well, if we just retask them for like 3 months, then we could get this thing out the door. Maybe they just
Well,
need help bug fixing.
But Squadron doesn't need a networking team, for instance.
nope.
Well, yeah. For example, they can't help with the
Yeah.
networking side of things.
Yeah.
But
That's when they say,
But-
I know nothing, Mr. Roberts. I know nothing.
But Star Citizen could probably use animation teams. They could use vehicle teams. They could use props teams. They could
Probably
use
the
like
number one thing that they would need from Squadron is environment artists.
yeah. But that's the question. Like anyway, we can speculate on this for a long time, but it'll be interesting to see when. Go ahead, Trevor.
Don't forget the shared things. Animation, easily shared. Sound work, easily shared. Even the ship work, easily shared.
Oh yeah, but that's the other
been
thing.
the
Like,
advantage of the project from the get-go. Sorry.
yeah, keep in mind a lot of the things that they're doing from Squadron, even without them being officially retasked to Star Citizen, are just going to fall out of Squadron and come into Star Citizen. So you don't really need to retask them for that work.
Right. So I said let's do this quickly. Clearly we did not.
Sorry.
This is that point where I'm like,
Stop
hey,
asking good questions.
I'm sorry. What do you in chat think? Because no one in chat has said anything. So what do you think? Will they retask people after Squadron, or it's gonna go full speed to Squadron 2? Let us know what you think. Okay, I'm moving on to the next one. 4.0 power play. How the upcoming resource management system will change life in the verse as we know it, from combat to player homesteading, and allow for true multi-crew gameplay.
This is systems-based gameplay. This is what this is. This is the thing right here. This is power systems and oxygen and degradation and connecting buildings together, and and connecting like parts of your ship together, power relays. It's the whole thing.
But it's not just that either, right? Because they're talking about homesteading and multi-crew gameplay as well. So it's connecting all powers and ships and things, but it's also going to be connecting things in homesteads and connecting power to your house and power to your refinery and power to this. And it's also multi-crew gameplay, which is the MFDs being able to be assigned to people and take control of different things in your ship. Sorry, Shiver.
It's the same core system of...
Yep. It's all the same thing.
You've got things that are plugging into... Think of it as a power flow, and you've got things that are plugging into it, and you can just reassign things. Be it literally power, be it commands, be it water for your homesteading. It's the core of that system, and they're going to talk about how they can just basically use the core tech and move it, and with minimal effort, change it.
I'm so excited for this. This is the one. This is the panel that I'm like, this could be the one that could blow people's minds.
We're not getting a panel on Quanta this year, which is disappointing. It doesn't look like... I don't think we get a Tony Zurabek talk, which
nope,
sucks. I love Tony, but
I'm sure he'll be around again to blow our damn mind.
But this could be just as important as Quanta, because I mean, we've been waiting for true multi-crew for a long while now, and this is going to be important. I'm really, really excited to see what they talk about in this. I think it's going to be a good presentation.
This is beyond even what we talked about too. Like, there's a lot going on here. This is going to be signals as well, or signatures, I mean, and heat. And remember, the
5th of November.
Yes, exactly. The 3 or 4 months they spent talking to us about fire propagation and how if you heat up a material enough and it's combustible, it will catch fire. Well, this is what systems gameplay is all about. You don't even need to say if this panel blows, then this thing catches fire. You just say if this gets this hot, then it will do this thing, like explode. Yep. And then all the things around it will get hot and they will just catch on fire because that's the way the system is built. And
Breath of the Wild is one of the
really
best video games ever made because of the systems in the game working together flawlessly. It's also, I mean, it's
Yep.
very different from Star Citizen. It's a lot more simple. The systems are very simple together, but it's that this logically makes sense. You set the grass on fire, the fire spreads, it kills things, it cooks the meat, and you can fly on it because wind drafts, because that's how science works. Clearly, like, systemic gameplay breeds more gameplay, and I can't wait for them to
I can't wait.
So the one thing that's missing in this, just before we get to the last one thing that is missing in this, it's really honestly disappointing that it's missing, is any talk on AI, because the AI in Star Citizen right now is abysmal. Now I think that a lot of that is network stuff, but it's really bad.
Yeah, I don't think AI is bad at all. I think that the AI is just fine. You just never see it because the networking is poor. Well, not even the networking is poor. The servers can't keep up with the amount of load that are on them.
I feel like it would be nice to have some sort of update on how that work is going.
So I think
but
the reason for that is that I think that almost all the AI team is on Squadron. And they're not talking about Squadron. And I think that's the deal. And I know you're not happy about that, but
I still, and I will register my vehement disagreement all the time. I disagree with the decision to not show Squadron ever again. I very much think that we are, like 3 or 4 years out from the last time they showed us the Morrow tour. Fine, don't show us anything new, but show us the bloody Morrow tour again. Let us see how things have evolved, because we know that they have. Show us that. You're not spoiling anything. Show us the Morrow tour. Anyway, the last of the panels, Talking Ship 2952. Our annual presentation from the ship teams. Discover the latest vehicles throughout the pipeline from concept to newly flyable, and a new twist to this year's voting on a new ship to come.
what's the new twist?
We're not going to bother with the vote. We know you want them all, so we're just going to put them fucking all in.
Well, that's basically been what they've always done. So
Yeah.
I don't think that's a new twist.
Yeah, but the new twist is we're not going to bother with the formality of giving you a vote. We know what you want. And they're right.
I wonder if they. Yeah, I'm curious what their new twist is, or if it's just going to be a very slight twist.
The new twist, if you vote right, you get one for free.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
I know. This is
Sure,
good.
Let's take $4 million out of our book.
So my questions here are, I want to know how they're going to run this, because we have fairly frequent ship updates. We know the status of a lot of the ships. I hope that this is like a 3-hour panel just going through the list of every single ship that it's not flyable right now and talking about where it's going to be.
I really don't think
i.e. where's my Endeavor? That's all I want.
David,
Where's my fucking Polaris?
No one likes a Polaris.
The Endeavor is exactly where you left it. Nothing's changed on that front.
I really want new concept for the Endeavor, because I want to see how much bigger it gets. Okay? I know that it's going to have to, like, double in size.
Yeah, it's going to be freaking huge.
Yeah.
Here's some breaking news for you, because I realized I hadn't looked in a long time. Star Citizen's already made $72 million this year.
Are we on track for 100 million there, Eric? I haven't asked this in a while. What
Oh,
are we
yeah.
on track for right now?
Oh yeah, it's gonna cruise right on by 100. I think you guessed more than that though. I think you guessed 150 or something, or 130.
Did we pin that somewhere?
Yes, we did.
Find out where that. Where the hell did we pin that? Because
It's in relay. Star
Okay.
Citizen pins. Yep, 150 million was your guess. We're at 72. But
Okay.
the back half of the year is always the heavy part for funding.
Oh, your McDonald's showed up, Shiver. That's nice. I can't hear you. You're on
That's
mute.
my wife.
Hello, wife.
She's gone.
Bye, wife. What are we on track for? Because I guessed 150. What are we on track for?
Oh my god. Okay, give me 10 minutes to do calculations. No.
No rush. Just put it in the Discord later tonight.
Yep.
Doesn't have to be done now.
It's always hard because like I know that we're on the 9th month of the year. A little over 8 months have gone by, but historically, Star Citizen always gets the majority of its funding in October, November, December, 3 months of the year.
Well, what do we have? We've got when's IAE?
IEE is November. That's what I mean.
So we've got
you always
Citizencon.
Every year you go Citizencon, the anniversary sale / IAE, and then the holiday sale. 3 months in a row.
I mean, we're gonna get 1 to 2 new ships at each of those, plus all of the ships that they're going to resell that aren't normally saleable.
Yep.
I know that for the first time in a long time, I'm going to be putting money in the latter half of this year. I don't know whether I'm getting something at Citizencon or IAE or where, but I'm going to get a new ship.
Nice. And why are you doing
I mean, how long have we been doing this podcast, Eric?
2015 January.
2015. 7 years.
And we really need to sleep.
Like, we're going on 8 years that we've done this, right? Well, I think it's been maybe
8 years.
It's been like, God, that's so much of my life. Our lives. Jeez.
You're
But like, I think it was either like 3 or 4 years ago that I was like, I'm not spending any more money.
Yeah, I know.
But this last year, I'm playing Star Citizen and it's good, and I'm thinking about playing Star Citizen. I'm sitting there being like, oh, do I want to play some? I should play some Star Citizen. Yeah, like it's less of a concept now and more like a game that is actually good and functional to play, because for the longest time, yeah, it was there, but you couldn't play it. I'm who I've always been, Darsh. I'm saying that Star Citizen is now at the point where I can play it without hating it.
Yep. No, it's fun.
There's enough there that it feels like a game, and I can play it without crashing. The performance is good. Like, it still has its problems. The AI is ass. Ship speeds are meh, and there's not quite enough content for me to devote 40 hours a week to it, but it's getting there. And oh, is there something below the panels too? Let me take a look. Anyway, it's getting there, and yes.
It's so last year. So here's what I did. This time last year, Star Citizen had made 51% of its funding for the year, by September 10th.
Oh, it's gonna be close.
So the current calculation is that it will end at 140 million this year. You're not off by much. All it would take is a exceptionally good fall for them, and you'd be right.
It could happen. Do I
but
get
it's
anything
also
if I'm right?
No.
Damn.
Actually, sorry. Yes, you do. You get to gloat for 5 years.
The rest of my life. I will
I
never
was
let
gonna
it
give you
go.
5 years. Okay, fair enough.
7 years ago, when Cass was first moving into Donut, she had a box of stuff that she was moving in with, and in that box she found a book that she had bought like 7 or 8 years before at a gas station. And in that book was a receipt from the gas station. And she took the receipt out and was like, "How much do you think I spent on this trip to the gas station?" And I was like, "You spent $27.12. And I was right to the penny.
By the way,
And
there's
I
a
am
book called Strange Men and the Women Who Find Them Attractive.
No, but
Yes,
it should have been.
was.
I am taking that win to my deathbed. I'm never
Yeah, I'm
going
sure.
to. Okay.
I'm sure.
Darj mentioned that there's stuff below the panels, and look, there
Let's go
is.
take a look.
Freebies, Citizencon 2952 digital goodies. What better way to celebrate our all digital Citizencon than with all digital goodies? The best part, it's free for all backers. Details coming soon. This is good. I like free.
Probably the best part is next.
Win a miniature. Expand your fleet. Looking to fly off into the sunset with one of JR Design and Fabrication's open bracket JRDF close bracket highly detailed model kits ? Get ready to compete and make that dream a reality. Details coming soon.
I don't think announcer voice is supposed to pronounce punctuation.
Details. I kind of want a JRDF model at some
me
point.
too.
I
Kind of want. I
want. Someday.
I want one.
I do as well. Engineered for gamers. Immerse yourself. The next generation of eye and head tracking engineered for PC gamers is here now. Get ready to compete to win your own Tobii Eye Tracker 5. Details coming soon.
Amazing. I
might have ordered myself one. I don't think I get
That's
to
the
open it
rumor.
till Christmas because I believe it's going to be my Christmas present to myself. But I did order a Tobii Eye Tracker. Honestly, largely because Cass was like, "I don't know what to get you for Christmas. Get yourself something." And I was like, "I don't know what to get me for Christmas. I'll do this." So I'm going to get one.
That's awesome. Let me know if you like it.
I will.
I'm very curious.
I'm getting two things. I'm getting the Track IR or the eye tracker, and I'm getting a Steam Deck. And one of those two has to be my Christmas present. And I'm not sure which one I'm going to open right away and which one I'm going to save till Christmas. Oh yeah, how is it? The Pulsar?
It's good. Took me
Yeah.
like a day to get used to it, but now I'm quite enjoying it.
Awesome. I'm glad. Okay, well,
We lost
have
Shiver.
Oh, we lost Shiver. Oh no.
Japan is attacking him.
Uh-oh.
So I'm going to show you what happened. So I used to have. Oh, nice! It's turning now. So.
What tilty mouse, Miami?
So this is my Iron Claw wireless that I had. As you can see, the mouse wheel is at an aggressive angle. That's because it broke, and you can turn it actually a little bit still, but it doesn't actually do anything when you turn it. It's disconnected from the piece inside. So that died. Ooh, that's interesting.
Well, we are at time.
We
And
are
I
at
was gonna
time.
say, hey, Shiver, you know, what do you got going on this week?
But
I
Shiver
know
is gone.
Shiver disappeared, but I know that Shiver has a couple of Vampire the Masquerade games going on over at twitch.tv/Table of Horrors, and I believe Shiver is also prepping a number of games for next month. I know he always does just a ton of work around Halloween, so check out a bunch of those. Twitch.tv/Table of Horrors.
He does amazing work.
He does. It's the amount of effort and time and energy that Shiver puts in is impressive. I will say I'm excited to see how the eye tracky thingy works. The best thing I think I've done though, and something I recommend to anyone, if I can push this down. Oh, it's gonna. Give me a second. Let me see if I can turn that off quickly. Broadcast, camera, stop replacing background. Okay. If you look down here, that's a split keyboard with a T1500 in the middle, which is honestly
That's really
fantastic. Cool. It's a great way to play Star Citizen. Being able to quickly move from this to this is great, and I've also got a Stream Deck there with a bunch of buttons.
Whoa! You hit something.
Nope. Shiver's back. Okay, I'm muting Shiver for right now. Because I was hearing me back from Shiver. Let's try this again.
Yeah.
Hello, Shiver. Shiver? I don't know what's going on with Shiver.
Major crash.
The Z mouse. Okay, I'll take a look at that. Oh, Shiver had a large crash. Okay, that's unfortunate. I hope his computer is okay.
Hello?
Yeah, me too.
Hello, Shiver!
You're back!
Is this the internet?
Yes,
this is the internet.
We are the internet peoples. Yes.
Welcome back.
Cool. Hi.
Hi. I was telling.
Did you get attacked by a kaiju?
No, Windows just went. No, I'm not going to work.
I mean,
I was.
It does do that.
I was telling people that you've got two games coming up this next week of Vampire the Masquerade over at Table Horrors.
Yes. Shit. Friday. God, let me look at it. Thursday. I don't know what time that's going to be in a Western time zone. We have London After First Sight, second episode set in London after people who don't like vampires came in and wiped out all the vampires. And then the day after, we have VTM V5 Nihon Nights, our ongoing VTM Chronicle set in Japan. In addition to that, I have to do a practice game for Star Trek and set up an Aliens TTRPG. And we'll see if I survive it.
Good luck.
PC isn't surviving today, it seems.
I will also say we did not play any Star Citizen tonight, which is unfortunate. I really wanted to, but come back here Tuesday at this same 9 p.m. time Eastern, and we're gonna play some Star Citizen because I want to fly. I want to fly my new ship. Hey, Elwook, we've been at it for an hour and a half and are literally just now saying our goodbyes. I apologize. Because it's bedtime for me.
It is bedtime for you. You need
it's
sleep.
Late. I need sleep, and I'm an old man. I'm old.
You're not an old man. You're younger than me, so you can't be old.
Sure I can. I've got kids.
Fair.
Kids age you. Kids age you prematurely. I'm 20 years older than either of you. 10 years per kid.
Actually, that wouldn't shock me. How does it feel to be almost 60? Yeah, fair enough.
Thank you everyone so much for
I'll
coming hang out.
Oh, okay, bye.
Yeah, sorry, I'll look. Thank you all so much for coming and hanging out and watching us and listening to us and putting up with us.
Yeah.
Mainly me.
Should
Thank
be
you for
really exciting. Should be really exciting next couple months for Star Citizen, with 318 coalescing and Citizencon and IE. It's going to be a good time.
It's going to be good.
There
Yeah,
is
I'm
a point
excited.
in the future where this show is going to devolve to just PTV races.
Yes. I'm a-okay with that. All right. Thank you all so much. Really a pleasure. Stay safe. Do good things. Be green and eat